Resilience is your ability to spring back from a crisis, and how quickly you can spring back has a lot to do with how resilient and flexible you are. Now, COVID has put everybody in a crisis mode, and it doesn't matter what your political views are or what you believe about the virus. We're all in some kind of crisis mode. You probably have a good reason to be upset about something. Either you're fearful of contracting the virus, or upset about losing your job, or perhaps it's you have to wear a mask and it's uncomfortable, or you're short of supplies that we've become very used to having all the time. Now, as an attorney, your clients rely on you to be resilient, because when they're going through a crisis, they're turning to you for that resilience and stability that you can provide. So when you're coming out of a crisis, your ability to spring back quickly is important to be able to be there for your clients. In this video, I'm going to talk about one thing you can do right now to help build that resilience. The COVID shutdown and all that has come with it is definitely a time for stress for everybody. Your reasons may vary from you and another person next to you, but COVID has triggered stress in everybody for a multitude of reasons. Because COVID is a threat as a virus, not just as a virus, but because of the economic shutdown and all the fallout that came from the virus, high stress is triggered in all of us, which means cortisol is pumping through our system. Now, this isn't good for you. We don't want cortisol pumping through our system every single day, day after day. For more information about stress and cortisol and what it does for you, or does to you, check out my 3-part video series on stress and lawyers. There's a link for part 1 up in the corner. Now, studies have shown that those who tap into their value systems have lower levels of stress and lower cortisol pumping through their system. So connecting with your values may provide the motivation that you need to treat COVID as a challenge instead of a threat. A challenge is something you can tackle as opposed to a threat where you're not sure what to do with it. Values provide us with a reason to keep us moving forward. Values provide us with a reason to live, to keep getting out of bed every morning. Now, when I think about this, I think instantly of a woman who's going through labor. If you're a man and you've never been through labor, let me tell you, it's bad. So when a woman is in childbirth, she's going through all this pain, but she can endure it because she knows there's going to be this beautiful baby at the end of all the labor pains. So that is her value. Her value keeps her going through the trauma to get her to the end, to the reward. So what are your values? We're going to do an exercise that will help you manage stress by identifying and knowing and embracing your values. And we're going to create a value board, similar to a vision board, but this is about your values to remind you every day what your values are. So take out a pen and paper, some photographs, get some magazines, get some scissors and some tape or glue, whatever you want. Or if you don't want to take out scissors, you can use a PowerPoint or a Keynote program or any kind of app where you can create and you can just plop photographs onto a page. The size of the page, the vehicle, doesn't matter. The point of the exercise is to identify your values that you consider to be important in your life. Don't get hung up on outcomes or solutions. Focus on what's important to you, not on what you want to achieve. Then spend 30 to 45 minutes creating your values board. When I'm working with attorneys, after they do a values board, they bring it to me and we go over the values board to find out, what does it represent? What does it look like? How was the experience? And we're going to do that, this debrief. I can't do it one-on-one with you through a video, but the debrief is there to help anchor those values with the client. So my suggestion for you is that you pause this video right here and go create your values board, then come back to this spot and start up again after you're done. Now there is a timestamp below this so that you can go right to the timestamp and end up right here. So pause and go make your values board. Now that you've completed your values board, let's take a look at it. I'm going to ask you a few questions. So this is almost like we would be together if we were working together. But I don't want you answering in your head. I want you to answer out loud and record it So get your smartphone out and set it up for the whatever app you have to record a voice recording, like Memo on my iPhone, and every phone has something like that. Just open it up and be ready to use it. So pause here and make sure you got that app open and be ready to go. So ready? Okay, can you explain to me what you're looking at? So pause this and answer and record. What is it that you're looking at? Just talk about what you did. Next question. How was the process in creating the values board to you? Was it a great reminder for you to remember what your values were? Did you have difficulty? Was it easy? So answer all of that and record it. Next question. What did you experience when you were making the values board? What kind of emotions did you experience when you were doing this? So pause and answer that and record it. And finally, what did you learn when you did this exercise? Pause and answer it out loud and record that too. Now, I realize this seems a little artificial because we aren't able to have a dialogue, but if you answered it out loud and recorded it, then you'll have a recording of your answers and you can go back and listen to your own voice and remind yourself of what you experienced, what your feelings were. And this can help anchor the value board that you've just created. So how does this build resilience? Good question. I'm glad you asked. During times of crisis, the tendency is to focus on negative things. And in fact, our brain has a tendency always to go to negative. So this exercise helps shift the focus from what is wrong to what makes life worth living. Maybe your value is to love your children and help them. Just like that woman in labor, COVID is just another set of labor pains. So by focusing on your children, it shifts your mind from the negative, COVID and all the fallout, to your children, and it changes the perspective. Maybe your value is to love and care for your spouse or your parents. Same thing. It's shifting your focus from all the negative things that's going on in the world to something that's positive, that's so important to you. Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Today, the hows are COVID. How do we get through COVID? How do I get through this week? How do I get through next month? How are we going to get through this quarter? Those are all the hows that coming out of COVID. But if you can focus in on your why, which was what the values board was for, then you can get up every morning feeling good about it. Go to bed thinking about your why, get up thinking about your why, and look at your value board. And so you can remind yourself of what your whys are. Look at your value board every day to remind yourself of why you get up every single morning. And COVID is just another challenge that will pass at some point. Focus on the positive, not on the crisis. And I'll see you back here at Front Porch Lawyer.